Q for Teams, champions using Teams effectively. And you're here to geek out with us on Teams. You came with questions. You want to hear us muse about it, all that good stuff. So that's what we're here for.
And we're so glad.
That's right. Indeed. So, yes, definitely use the chat for questions, or you can come off mute or raise your hand, however you want to do it. I think the only thing we've disabled is your video. So we're happy to jump right in. And in fact, I see a question in chat about details on the Approvals app. What is it used for? How does it work? And then Wheel of Fortune game for teams. But Stacy, the Approvals app, is that? Can you maybe talk through that a little bit while I bring it up on the screen?
Yeah, sure can. So the Approvals app is Microsoft's best app foot forward to handle simple workflows when you just need something approved, right? Those of you who've been around Microsoft for a while, that used to be something that perhaps you started with an info path form and you ran through SharePoint Designer and you did all sorts of things to get your workflow to move. This simple ask of, hey, review this document, or hey, I need to be out next week and here's my reasons, to your manager. Those simple asks that require a quick workflow to a supervisor or some sort of approver, and maybe even a rejection path as well, is baked into this Approval apps for Teams. So just from completing a simple UI, you can create an approval workflow and share the information through the process of using the app in Teams.
Glenn, I don't know if that's kind of what you were looking for.
Yes, thank you. We don't have it yet, even though, like Microsoft, I understand Microsoft has approved it for GCC, but we have to go through a request process in our organization to get them to add it or allow us access to it. So, yeah, thank you. I was just getting a little information on it before we actually get it.
Gotcha. The Wheel of Fortune game you mentioned, I'm not aware of anything built in. I don't think the only wheel type game I've seen people do in a Teams meeting is one where they're trying to either pick a winner on something, and they spin this little wheel and it lands on someone's name. And I know they're just going out to these random websites that have these little games and just kind of sharing out the browser. So I'm not aware of a specific Wheel of Fortune game app for Teams. I don't know if anybody on the call has heard of such a thing. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, one of our users attended some external meeting that they had a wheel thing, and it must have been, as you said, they probably got some external app that they were running in a browser. So I was just asking if there was anything Teams related, but thank you.
Right. Those going on here. Let me see here. Kind of going through. Notice meetings team centric. Microsoft products usually connected together. Have you heard of My Places? Is it something that may be coming or our way, or is it not moving forward? I have heard of My Places. I think that was Stacy. Have you heard of that? I think that's related to workplace management, right?
Yes, and I wanted to. I'm pretty sure I saw a headline at least come across in the last, turning your spaces into places. Here we go. I'm going to drop a chat a link into the chat just so we all have the documentation, and then be there. Actually, that's from almost a year ago. So I thought there was something else more recent than that, actually.
Yeah, I remember it getting launched.
Yeah, there was I was looking up a thing called floor plans that would associate employees with where they're located at. And because that's what we're trying to do here at where I work and stuff. But at any rate, they said they were discontinuing it, and those that used it could still use it, but I don't know if we've used it or not. And our server team hasn't told me either. And then in place of it, they're doing My Places. So that would correlate with Teams with the new feature of being able to say if you're working from office or home, and maybe correlating where in the what office you're working out of or something. So, okay, that was just curious. I really appreciate this. Thank you.
Yeah, what I don't see is any like, straight up integration in the Teams for it. It seems to be its own, app. But to your point, it vibes with that Microsoft feature about, where you're currently working, home or remote or whatever. So yeah, I can see that.
Right on. Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. See here, looking at the chat. So virtual appointments got mentioned, and Stacey, did you take that in the? It looks like you answered it there.
Yeah, I just said I didn't know that it was on our agenda for today, but we could certainly discuss. I actually pulled up Places. I have it. I didn't realize I had it. If you'd like to see, it's kind of cool. So it asked me if I work typically from an office or hybrid or from home. I happen to work from home. So I had this, and it appears it may be in beta. Mind you, Ricardo and I sometimes have access to some of our product releases before they're live, but this is my active team, folks that I work with every day at Microsoft, and it shows where they may be in the office or in remote, and I can even add additional folks. So as they come in and set up their places, it's there. So it almost feels like a bookings for where you actually are, which is pretty cool when you think about accessing your teammates and being able to stay connected.
Sure.
So sorry, just had to show my little experiment was successful.
Checking the chat again.
I'll say, Carmen, that I could only see my teammates. So I would presume that my teammates can only see people on our immediate team. Although there was an option to add a teammate, and I don't know that there's any restriction to who I share that to. But again, you were seeing it as I discovered it. So I'd have to do a little more homework to advise you properly on that. Okay. Sorry for that segue. I just got excited.
Yeah. There is a question about the I think SharePoint list user experience update related to communication sites. I'm not sure if I'm familiar. I don't know if you want to come off mute and describe what you've heard there.
Yeah, I can give you a little update about it. We had a user who wanted to add basically like upvotes to their SharePoint list. We found like a Power Automate flow, but that wasn't going to work out. And then we found out that there is like a native rating system in SharePoint lists that you have to enable. but it's currently only available for team sites, not communication sites, which the list we were working with was on a communication site. Saw on the roadmap that there's a list user experience update coming that says something along the lines of being able to do ratings in any list. And I was wondering if you had any idea if any list means on communication sites or not. And it's okay if you don't. I know this is a team-centric meeting, so but figured I'd try and pick your brain about it.
Yeah, I always like SharePoint topics. Yeah, I would have to look into that because my first thought is just thinking about the new modern lists. Now I'm not sure about thinking about it in terms of team sites versus communication sites because they're both SharePoint sites. It's just got a different template on it. But yeah, I would expect that a fancy feature like ratings to be a part of the modern list. So the question then becomes, why can't you use that modern list in your communication site? That'd be the part to look up. But yeah, and I'm guessing you're trying to maybe embed it as a web part in that communication site page. Is that where the challenge is coming from? Okay. Because otherwise I was just going to say, just get a modern list going with that feature in and just direct people to that list. But if you're trying to elegantly embed it into a full page, that may be where the challenge comes from. I could see that part. Yeah, that'd be something to look into.
So hard maybe, it sounds like.
Yeah, hard maybe.
I accept that. Thank you.
Yeah. Good stuff. There was a couple of things. I think the chat has slowed down a little bit here. There's a couple of things I wanted to mention. I always have something come up in the couple of weeks since we get together. And one of them real quick, let me go here. Oh, wait, I got to make sure I'm sharing. I was about to do a whole thing and you guys weren't going to see anything. Let's see, where's my... Got too many windows going on. Let's share this here. You should be seeing that now.
I do.
So, okay, good. Thank you for that confirmation. So I noticed this, and this will be for Windows 11 users. I don't know if there are any Windows 11 users out there, but what I noticed is, let me get a meeting started. This is about sharing. Stacy, I don't know if you even noticed that. This was just recent for me. So let me get this going. So when we share something in a Teams meeting, we typically do our share, and it could be PowerPoint Live or whatever. But like if I'm trying to share a window or something, I would typically go to the window. I'd pick the one that I want, and boom, it gets the red line over what I'm sharing. My Teams meeting goes minimized to this view. And then if I do want to get the full fidelity back, because maybe I want to see the people or the chat or all those things, I would hit the button to maximize it. And I go back that way, and all is well. My share is still there with the red line. You see the stop sharing button. I think we're all used to that. Let me stop this again. What I noticed is, so in the past, we've talked about how in Windows 11, you get, if you go down to the taskbar, you get this share this window button. So my meeting's still going. This is the window I want to share. I hit share this window and hit share there. It's a very small thing, but it could be a big thing for you. What you may notice is I am sharing red line, but my Teams meeting here never went minimized. So it avoided 2 clicks for me, the clicking on the minimize thing and bringing it back. So if you are one that likes to see the full fidelity of your meeting, even when you're sharing, again, you could always do that with a couple of clicks, but I just noticed that this kept me from having to do that. It kept the window up and running. So I'm now in love with the feature. I was already in love with it from the fact that I can shift my sharing by just going to the taskbar and doing that and not having to restart a new one. I was already in love with it for that. But now knowing that this thing is also keeping my background Teams window open is yet another benefit to it, because again, the way it's showing now is not super beneficial, but imagine there was 4 video feeds here and a chat box and all the stuff I was trying to keep track of while I shared. That's just huge. And again, I could bring that up even if it was minimized, right? It goes down here. I use the little button in the corner, bring it back, but it just saves me some clicks. So I just learned that like yesterday or something. So I thought that was worth sharing for those that do a lot of sharing in Teams.
Eureka, love it.
Yeah. That probably isn't in any documentation. That's just something you just got to learn through usage. And then the other thing, this came up from a customer question. And so I started fiddling in my tenant here and thought I would mention it. Let's see, where was that? I think it's here. Yeah. Come back here. So basically, business or work search. I'm not sure how many of you have this. This is a tenant level feature here, but this ability to have this new tab in your Bing search called work. And so what is it? So here I've searched for the word on this word morale. And then in my basic search, I get what you would expect, the definition and all of these random websites from the internet about morale. But if I go over to the work tab, that same search is now specific to my enterprise. So now my results are the project, the morale project that I actually have over in Teams, if you can see it there, and all the things in my org that are related to that word, stuff in my OneDrive, websites, all that good stuff. And you see I get filters here related to, again, all scope to, in this case, Contoso, or for you, state of whatever, or company, whatever. All these things are scoped there. If I had, and apparently I do have, Outlook and Teams messages related to morale, those are showing up here as well. If I had video, I don't know if I got any. I don't have any videos related to morale. But again, you can kind of get the point. The little filters here showing me all the things enterprise specific that I have going on. So you might already out there have this enabled. Maybe this is old news for you. My particular customer didn't have this enabled. And so I fired it up in the tenant just to make sure it was GCC compatible. If you're in commercial, I'm for sure this is there because I use it all the time, both at work and in my personal O365 account. So just thought that was worth mentioning as well. Hopefully that makes sense, what I described in the value prop there. But those are just a couple, as I was thinking about some tips to bring to today's meeting. Those were a couple that I thought about. So awesome. And if you are a Windows 11 user, you may have the latest update for that includes, as you can see down here, the little Copilot preview. That might be there for you as well. That is recently announced and would have been a part of this past Tuesday's update. And again, that assumes your org is allowing the latest, greatest updates to hit you. That is not often the case in orgs or in state and local government. Cool. So hopefully that's cool. Again, come off mute, use your chat if you want to. Trying to think what else we may have missed.
Do you want to touch on virtual visits? Is this your commercial tenant? Could you open that up?
I do have. Okay, let's see. Let's switch. Go to my taskbar and where is that? Share this window. And okay. So everybody should be seeing my commercial tenant. And so the virtual visits, I think we're talking about this here, right? Virtual appointments.
Yeah, as far as I know, the question was on that. It was not a specific question, but just more of a topic that she was hoping to discuss. So perhaps just taking the tour really quickly today might be a good thing to do.
Yeah. So, and I think the first thing worth mentioning here, this idea of lightweight client appointments, because, you know, I think maybe bookings might be the more formal approach to this, at least with customers I've seen where they are trying to have appointments with, you know, the public or their customers. When they're doing that in a formal way or they're doing it in a scaled way, I see them using bookings and setting up booking pages and all that. So I like that this first description talks about a lightweight client appointment, right? Making it easy to just get that going.
And the booking service is absolutely in vogue. Bookings is hanging out in the background, taking care of some of the lightweight pieces, rather than how a Teams meeting typically would be scheduled. Yeah, I love that it's leveraging that even further.
Yep. As we see here, external guests will receive a tailored invitation for this scheduled online meeting, joining from mobile or web, and they'll have a virtual lobby. So we got our title there, invite our external guests. I think through their email. It is pointing out they don't necessarily need to install Teams, because they can hit it through their browser or the mobile. Invite your other colleagues that you may need to attend as well. Your appointment details, and then you're pretty much ready to go. So, you know, it looks to me like your standard Teams meeting, but with that tailored invitation, I think is probably the biggest difference for this, and the fact that it's kind of ready to go for an external guest. So
yeah, that join from a browser is really key when you're working with perhaps citizens that don't sit at a computer all day and use Teams all day like we do. Helps them connect.
I was just looking at some of the settings, because you definitely would want the guests to be able, well, not necessarily, I shouldn't say that. You may want them to sit in the lobby. I was going to say that one of the things you might want to do is come here and turn it to everyone, but you might want that guest to sit in the lobby until you arrive. But you do have your typical meeting settings here, meeting options. And then hopefully your X button works better than mine. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so there we go, virtual appointments. And so again, in commercial, that's sitting right here in the schedule a meeting area. There you
go. While we're in the meeting context, we could mention the Teams town hall announcement that was made. I'll post the tech community blog article there. I'll go ahead and give a spoiler. It does not mention the government community cloud in the blog post. But I'm sure that we'll be following that up shortly with how that Teams town hall is going to be released to the GCC and what that means for sunsetting live events in the GCC.
Yeah, and I do have that queued up here. Yep, town halls and retirement. So we're a year away, I believe, from the full retirement of live events. So you don't need to rush right away for that. But yes, town halls would be the new experience. And did you put this link in the chat? Did you say already?
Grabbing it now to do that.
Okay. All right. So this does give you a lot of details. If you are a Teams admin, you should have I think a couple of message center posts, which I think came out this week related to this as well. Any questions on that? I think to me, one of the I think was someone saying something. Okay. I was just going to say one of the biggest impacts I think what might be for those who were doing the very high-end productions in live events, basically using those back-end stream features for, you know, high-end productions. This might have an impact that they need to start getting ready for. I don't know if those all work the same in town hall as they did for live events, but again, we got some time. It's a good deal. Well, I think chat is yep, Stacy's in the chat. Now, last couple of minutes, any questions, comments, thoughts?
Yes, a dedicated Q&A was mentioned in town hall events, Amanda. It's called out in that article, fortunately. Again, though,
So
just be advised, it doesn't mention GCC here. I know that there was an intent to bring the Q&A app to GCC. I'm hoping that it's all going to align into this tool at GCC release.
and so this is probably something we can demo in future CUBE session. Go ahead, was that Glenn?
Yeah, I just want to say how much I appreciate you folks, and I appreciate these meetings, and I really hope that they will continue because they're very helpful. Thank you.
It's good to hear. I'm glad we're providing some value. Yeah, we plan to continue. You know, the fortunate thing for you all is that Stacy and I are just geeks about this. So this is not too much of a chore. You know, we actually enjoy geeking out on this kind of thing. So yeah, expect to see us around for a while. Awesome. As always, this will be on YouTube. We did try to stream it live on LinkedIn. I don't know how it worked. I'll have to check that out a little later. And yes, I am behind on putting these on YouTube. I'm like two videos behind, but all the previous ones are there, and I'll get these last ones in here in short order. So good to see everybody again. See you again in a couple weeks. aka.ms/Cube for Teams. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe and check out the blog for more content.